Hello and welcome to Caching Waves. This is your Elliott Wave update for LDO Lido DAO. Now before I get into this chart, I just wanted to make you aware that not all the price history is here. A lot of people might think, oh, we're going into price discovery. But there is higher highs that are not on the chart. I've marked those off on my chart and I'll show you the options available. Now the bullish scenario is pretty bullish as long as my count is correct. I'm currently in this trade. But here is my bullish count on the daily, where we potentially have some nested 1-2s in play, and we could get quite an extended third wave here you see in blue. Targeting as high, if this is a C wave rather than an impulse, as high as 1477. Now these red marks you see at 478, 552, and 648 are those resistances that you saw on the chart here. So I just marked those down so I'm aware of where they are. Now, I propose this is actually an ABC correction and we're looking for that 5-wave impulse. Alternatively, if this is a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, I mean, you're talking pretty insane counts. So I'm going with a C wave just to be reasonable. But it doesn't mean we can't go even higher than that, because above this level at 648-ish is price discovery, which means there's no resistance behind us. It's going to go as long as people want it to. So knowing this potential, I have this as an A running flat for our B, and we're working on our C wave to the upside. We broke through these previous resistances. We did a back test for it, and now we're breaking above. So on this scenario, I will dig into that in a moment, but I want to give you my bear case. Now this would be if Bitcoin ETF news is sell the news, where people react negatively to it, like in previous markets. Now, I've had this discussion with several people, and you might want to consider it yourself, that I know in previous bull markets, good news was sell the news. Like we had it back in the 2018 high. We had it at the Coinbase IPO. We had it at the futures trading there at the previous high. But for the first time, I believe the average person is more aware of that. Like they've taken into account the fact that that happened in the past. So if the majority of people are aware that happened in the past, then it might already be priced into the market. And if majority of those people say that history is going to repeat itself and they open up short positions in that area between 50,000, that the opposite could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it could. And in that case, max pain would be to squeeze those shorts that are using history, smartly using history, but it actually does the opposite. Just an idea. Consider it. I consider both options viable, but consider that could be a scenario. Now, in that scenario, the sell the news, if Bitcoin dumps, I believe this is the most likely scenario, where we're still in the middle of a B, C between two larger connecting waves. And this is the middle of the B wave, where this is its own correction here. And the most common target for a expanded B wave is between 1.236 and 382, and that's between 418 and 503. But it can drop at any point. We've already broken this A wave high. That's just the most common, invalid past 678. So this is one thing I'm considering, and that's if this just becomes complex, like two zigzags back to back, which look very similar to nested 1-2s. Keep that in mind. If you've been with me, think of H bar, right? Same scenario. So going in closer, this is the one I'm trading. And I'm aware that we could break to the downside up at any time here. But going off the low, have this as a leading diagonal. On linear scale, we did our standard retracements between the 50 and the 618 on both 1-2s. On log scale, we came up shy, which is totally reasonable. So if this is nested 1-2s and potentially a third 1-2, where we are wrong on this, very important, our absolute stop is at 275.5, right at this pivot, because we'd be invalidating our Elliott Wave rules. We can't go lower than this 1-2 if this count stays intact. It's an important thing to remember. Now it looks like we have 3 waves in, and we're looking for our 5th, at which point we'd expect a small correction. If this is as bullish as this potential is, again, going back to the daily, up at 1477, I mean, we're talking from here about 280%. Like, that's a big, big move. So I'm already in this. I bought this the other day in the video I posted when we were coming down here. If I were not in this, and I might add to this, what I would do is wait for this 4th and 5th to play out. And once it is in, that 4th and the 5th, I would pull the pivots. You'll have to pull these. Oh, sorry. Have to pull these pivots to see where a good entry is. And I would personally, if it's as bullish as it seems, I would also add the 236 and the 382 wherever this ends, and look to buy in the previous 4th wave when that's done. Because if this is nested 1-2s, we might not get much of a retrace. We might just find support on this previous high and we just take off. To be clear, that does not mean this is going to happen. This is just one path available. A lot of people get this idea in their heads that Elliott Wave is trying to read the future. It is not. All it is doing is showing you possible paths in the market. And this is one of the very bullish paths. And if this count stays intact, I believe this is the most probable in the bullish scenario. So just to make that clear. And alternatively, we see it here. If it's a sell the news scenario, we might just collapse, no problem. By the time we get to this point, if you got in this area, like I suggested, what I'm doing the previous day, there's no way you should lose money in this trade. So I believe I'm about to, I'm up about $100 on $100 risk so far. I will soon be raising my stop once we make this 4th and the 5th. My stop's currently down here, but once we make this 4th and the 5th, I'll probably move the stop just past the 618 of that wave, wherever that is, and whatever extra risk off I've taken, I'll add to the position. And again, if we break this low at 275.5, this count is no more. And we're most likely in the bearish scenario, where we just ticked that area. That's that area you see, and we just collapse. So that's what I'm looking for. Currently looking for this move to complete and a nice little ABC correction at previous support and the previous 4th whenever it's done. It looks like we should get it within the next day or two. So that's what I'm looking at. LDO looks really good for the bullish setup. This is not a prediction of the future. This is one possible path. Once again, people new to this do not understand that. And the plan B is I'd get stopped out on the trade, and I wouldn't be interested in it for quite a while, except for maybe short opportunities. All right, guys, that's it for LDO. If you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe. I will update this as it plays out. And thanks for watching.